Hello bookish people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan. In today's video, we are going over my July TBR. These are all the books I would like to read in the month of July, and I emphasize want to read, like to read, because the chances of me reading all these books are very slim. If you look at any of my TBR videos and then compare them to that month's monthly wrap-up video, they are never the same, okay? I am a mood reader through and through. I create a TBR and then it goes out the window, but hey, they're still fun, right? I have 15 books on this month's TBR, plus we're gonna be selecting 5 books from the TBR jar, and hopefully this month goes better than last month, because although I was hopeful in my TBR video for this jar, out of the 5 books I picked, I ended up only reading 2 of them. One of them was a DNF and the other was a 2-star. So hopefully the TBR jar gods have my back this month and we'll pick some great books out of here. Okay, so now let's get into my TBR. I'm gonna have it broken down into categories. I will have them timestamped down below, starting with what is on my Summerween TBR. If you don't know what Summerween is, it is a 5-day, 4-day readathon that happens here on YouTube. It's hosted by Gabby Reads and Olivia Reads a Latte, 2 very popular booktubers, 2 of my favorite booktubers. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna participate this year. I'm gonna vlog my experience this year. I think they have about 5 prompts for books. I have 4 books to talk about, so let's get into them. So the first 2 prompts for me go together. The first one is to read a book in the dark or at night, and then the second prompt is to read any thriller. So for that, I am reading The Housemaid by Freida McFadden, mainly because this is a KU book, so I can read it on my Kindle at night in the dark. You get where I'm going with this. In this book, you are following our main character, who is a housemaid. She is a live-in maid for this rich family, and she lives in their attic, but the catch is the attic door only locks from the outside. So she can't lock herself in, but they can lock her out, or not lock her, well, they can lock her in. I guess that's what I mean. You guys get what I'm trying to say. This book has just been everywhere. I feel like everybody's reading Freida McFadden lately, and I'm a mystery thriller girly. I have not read the latest popular author, so obviously I have to do so, and I am very excited to start with, I feel like, her most popular book. The next prompt is to read a book set in the fall, and for this one, I am reading The Club by Lloyd Ellery, I completely said this author's name's backwards. It's Ellery Lloyd. Can't speak. So in this book, it is about a club, obviously, but it's like a rich celebrity elite club that you have to have exclusive access to. And then one day someone dies there, a body appears. It's a mystery thriller. What can I say? I don't really like to read synopses too much into mystery thrillers, because I find a lot of the red herrings or plot twists will actually be in the synopsis. Things you don't learn 20% into a book, mystery thrillers will have in the synopsis. And I'm like, no, stop doing that. So I've just learned to stop reading the synopsises very much. So yeah, I'm very excited for this one. I know it takes place in October, so although it doesn't look very fallish, it takes place in October, so makes sense. The next prompt is to read a book with orange or black on the cover, bringing in those fall cover themes. And for this one, I am reading The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This is his latest release. I am so excited, and the only reason I don't have it physically is because Book of the Month added this in the middle of June, so I added it to my July box. So once I get my July box, I'll have the copy. I love Riley Sager. As you can see, I have all his books here, minus Survive the Night, which is over there. Yeah, I've read all his books and I've absolutely loved them. The lowest rated one for me was Lock Every Door, and it was a 3-star, and I still overall enjoyed my time reading it. This one is about a lady who lives on a cliff. She's an elderly lady and she's mute, and I think her whole family was murdered in the house that she lives in, and then one night her nurse flees in the middle of the night, and so obviously somebody new gets hired, and the new girl goes, and the mute lady types on her typewriter I have something to tell you, or I want to tell you everything, and the lady starts suspecting oh my god, I thought this was a sweet innocent old lady, but now I think she's a little more dangerous than I previously thought. It just sounds fun, okay? I love Riley Sager. I'm very excited to read this one. And the last one is to read a manga, graphic novel, or novella. I don't have any spooky graphic novels besides Coraline, and I already read it, and I don't have any spooky mangas, so we are going with a novella, and I'm going to be reading Killjoy by Holly Jackson. This is just perfect for Summerween because, one, I'm finishing As Good as Dead by the end of June anyway, so that leaves this, the last book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder universe, for me to read, and Summerween is here telling me to read a spooky novella, and this one's called Killjoy. So I feel like this is all kismet. It comes together perfectly. We're going to be reading this. Now we're going to get into my physical TBR. So the first set of books on my physical TBR are a series, and it is the Cruel Prince series by Holly Jackson. So we have The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and The Queen of Nothing. I would really like to read this whole trilogy this month because I am entering my romantasy era, my fantasy romance era, and everyone talks about these books. I have never read them. I bought the whole series, so now we're gonna read them. By the way, I have no idea what any of those are about. I purely bought them based on the hype, okay? And that's like most of my books. I'm like, ooh, super popular. I'll hear one person say one sentence about it and be like, add to cart. The next book I would like to read this month is Shanghai Immortal by A.Y. Chow. This is a Fairy Loot edition. I recently became a Fairy Loot subscriber. This is the first book I got in my Fairy Loot subscription. This one says half vampire, half fox spirit, all trouble. And it just seems like a really fun book. Now, somebody who is experienced with Fairy Loot books, please let me know. Should I get an ebook for this or should I read this physical copy? Because I don't want to mess up the sprayed edges, and I don't know if like reading them and like touching the edges with my fingers is going to mess this up in any way. So someone who has experience with Fairy Loot editions, please let me know if I should actually read this edition or not. But it just seems like a fantasy romance novel, and I'm excited for it. I mean, more like a fantasy novel with a subplot of romance, but either way I'm here for it. And the end papers on this are absolutely gorgeous. I would show you the front one, but I have like the author's note and stuff in there, so can't see it. And then the next two books on my physical TBR are both romances. The first one being Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Hockey romances are everywhere right now. I have never read one. I bought this one at Target, and we are going to read my very first hockey romance in July, and I am so excited because if you're going to start off with hockey romance, this is the one to start with because this is the one I feel like everybody has read. And the last book on my physical TBR for this month that I would like to read is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is her latest release. This was my May pick, although it came out in April. We're going into July. Like, how have I still not read this book? I'm excited, and I own the audiobook on Audible. So like there's really no excuse that I have not read this yet, but I've been kind of like in a KU era over here, like a romantasy era, but then also on the contemporary side, a KU era. So that's why I haven't read it yet. But I'm gonna do it this month, I swear. I promise I'm doing it this month. Now we've been going over the 3 books I want to read on KU, Kindle Unlimited. The first book is Playing by the Rules by Monica Murphy. It is the sequel to Playing Hard to Get, although they're just like interconnected standalones. You could read them out of order. So in Playing by the Rules, you are following Cam, who is the star quarterback for the college football team, and he falls in love with Knox's sister, who you meet Knox in this book, and Knox's sister. So it's like brothers, best friends romance, and also kind of forbidden because Knox is super protective over his sister, whose name is Blair, and you definitely get lots of crumbs of Cam and Blair in this book. So I am so excited to read the second book in this series. I think it's just going to be such a good time. This book was such a spontaneous read for me, and then I ended up reading it in one sitting. Like utterly obsessed. So I know I have to continue the series. The second book I want to read on KU this month is Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. I've been seeing this book kind of slowly pop up everywhere. It's quickly gaining popularity. The cover is absolutely adorable. And this is a brother's best friend romance and also kind of a forbidden romance because the first thing in the synopsis says she's off limits, but he's never been good at following the rules. Like, I'm telling you, I'm in my KU era right now. Don't judge me. I'm excited. This just seems like a really cute time. Plus, it's under 300 pages, so it's going to be like a quick little binge. The third book I want to read on KU this month, I'm kind of speechless for why I'm even including this. Like, I'm questioning my morals to the fact that I even want to continue on in this series. And it is A Hunting Adeline by H.T. Carlton. I am currently reading Haunting Adeline right now. I'm actually filming a vlog of reading my first dark romance for the first time, and I started with Haunting Adeline. And at the beginning of this book, I was like, there's no way. Like, the first 70% of the book, I was like, there's no way. There's no way I would ever read the sequel to this book. Now I'm at, like, the 80% mark in the book. I'm like, ooh, but I kind of want to read the sequel to this book. Like, we haven't even gotten to the cliffhanger because the author literally says in the author's note, like, this book will end on a cliffhanger. Haven't even gotten to that part yet, but I'm like, ooh, okay, like, I'm invested. I want to read the second one. It's like a car crash. Like, it's bad, but you can't look away type of thing. Yeah, so we don't need to spend any more time on this. Hunting Adeline. Check up all the trigger warnings for this book if you want to go into it. You don't have to go far for the trigger warnings. Literally just read the author's note and it'll tell you all the trigger warnings. And yeah, severely questioning my morals, even entertaining the fact of continuing the series. Now we're going to talk about the books I have on library loans, and the first one is an ebook, and that is The Chateau by Jacqueline Goldis. I remember talking about this book in one of my Book of the Month predictions videos. It was not a selection. I was wrong, but it was an aardvark pick, if that says anything. So I forgot what this book was about. I remember reading the synopsis, obviously, for that video, and I remember being very interested in it. So when I saw my library had the ebook, I went on the waiting list. Now it's my turn, and I'm not rereading the synopsis because, again, I like to go in rather blind. But this book book, I know you're following like a group of girls that go on this luxurious Parisian girls trip, and they end up staying at the chateau and there's champagne, and then there's murder. The other library I loan is an audiobook for a book that I own physically, and that is This Delicious Stuff by Kayla Cottingham. This is a YA mystery thriller horror book. Like, I don't know exactly what YA genre this is. I kind of think it's horror. Anyway, it's about this world in which there are zombies, and instead of eating humans, they've developed this thing called synflesh. So the zombies like feast on synthetic human flesh, but then all these girls go to a music festival, and I think one of them ends up killing one of the band members, and they realize someone's trying to sabotage the zombies into murdering all the humans. So it just sounds like a fun time. It takes place at a music festival, like horror summer vibes. Okay, that's all I'm here for. And I'm kind of obsessed with the cover and the cooler and just like everything about it. So yeah, this one I will be listening to the audiobook. And then the last two books are new releases that are coming out this month that I am definitely reading. The first one is Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. This is her adult fantasy debut, similar to her YA stuff. It's a Shakespearean retelling. This is the story of Antony and Cleopatra. Know nothing about it, but I will definitely be reading this, if not this month, in August, but I'm very excited for this one. And the second book is Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood, which actually came out June 20th, but similar to the Riley Sager new release, Book of the Month added this in the middle of June, so therefore it's in my July box, so I can't read it until it gets to my house. But this is one I don't own physically yet, but I will, and I plan on reading it in July. Now it is time to go through the TBR jar. Hopefully this goes better than last time, but we gotta shake it first, and hopefully we get some good picks out of here. Okay, we're gonna shake it once. I feel like this is a sufficient shake. Okay, let's do it. Number one. So last time I said if I didn't read them, I'm gonna unhaul them. I'm saying that again this month. Will I stick to my word? Only time will tell. Okay, the first book we are selecting is House on the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This is already not going well. So yeah, we have The House on the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I DNF'd this book, but I put it back in the TBR jar because I was like, I want to finish this book. Everyone loves this book. I can't not finish the book. But like, oh my god. Do I want to though? Do I want to? I guess we will. I guess we'll read it this month. I'm gonna try to read it physically because I listened to the audiobook the first time and it just was not doing it for me. So I think maybe physically reading it, I'll have a better experience. So if I can fit it in, I will. Now we're gonna go for number two. What are we selecting for number two? I hope I pick like one of my newer release books. We have The Midnight Library. Okay, so my TBR jar is telling me, Megan, just like clear out all your oldest books on your TBR. So we have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I actually do own the audiobook to this on Audible, so this one actually I could feasibly do if I just listened to the audiobook. I actually did start this audiobook a while ago, but I don't think I got more than an hour into it, probably less than an hour. There's a point in this book where the girl's in the Midnight Library and she has this point where she goes, I regret. And then it started making me think about all my regrets in life, and then I started getting anxious, and then I was like, no, we gotta turn off this audiobook. It's triggering me right now. Hell no, turn it off. So I need to get past that part, and then I'll probably enjoy it. So maybe I'll do a physical read of it so I can like skip over parts that I find triggering to me. But literally just her repeating the word regret over and over again, I was like, I can't do this book. But yeah, we have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Now we're going for number three. What are we selecting? Something newer, please. Something I really want to read, please. Give me something good. Give me something good. The Last Story of Mina Lee. Did I? Okay, well, that's easy. If you watched my unhaul video, I unhauled that book. I was not interested in it. So if I still had it and I was trying to force myself to read it this month, like, the TBR jar is just not on my side, okay? So yeah, not that book. I unhauled it. So unfortunately, I've got to pick another one for number three. What are we picking? Did I pick two? Okay, let's just go with this one. Okay. We have Killer Content. Ooh, this one I actually do want to read. This one is Killer Content by Olivia Black. This is a cozy mystery. Okay, so I just read the back. So in this book, you're following our main character, Odessa, who is new in town, I think, and she works at this bookstore that's also a craft beer place, so you can buy beer and books at the same time. And there is a flash mob proposal viral video, and in the background of that, a waitress, I think, drops dead, and they suspect that it's murder. And don't suspect it's murder, but Odessa suspects that it's murder, and she's like, I'm on the case, guys, don't worry about it. So yeah, there's this book. I thrifted it, and it sounds interesting, so I'm excited for this. Now we're picking number four. Okay, let's see, out of these 5 books, will I read them all? And if I don't, which ones will I not read? Could you imagine DNFing The House in the Cerulean Sea for like a second time? Okay, this one we have It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover, which I can't read It Starts With Us without reading It Ends With Us. So do I put it back, or do I just commit to reading both of them this month? What do you think? Oh, I accidentally dropped it back in here. Oh, and literally I dropped it back in there, and then I went to go pick one up, and literally the one on top that I thought was It Starts With Us, that I picked up is It Ends With Us, which I think is kind of a fate. So we are going to be reading these 2 this month. I'm still going to add another one in here. Well, these are 2, and I said to pick 5. Okay, we're done. We're done. I picked my 2. Like, is it a coincidence that I picked this, and then I dropped it back in there, and then I picked another one out, and it was this? Sounds like fate to me. I think we're finally going to read our first coho this month, and we are going to be reading the most popular ones. Those are all the books I am potentially reading in the month of July. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!